How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back with another FPL live stream here on Twitch. If you are watching this over on YouTube when the VOD goes up, come check us over for our live streams. They're always a blast. We get a lot of different views, a lot of different people to various different ranks, and it's good to hear your opinion as well, because we're all learning as FPL managers. I'm still even, probably one of the newer players, as it were, even though I know that some people in the chat and stuff have been newer. But with that being said, I've got 2 green arrows in a row, which is not, very usual for me in recent games. So yeah, we're doing okay. 50 points, the not bad game week, as it were, unlocked. Nacho pulling through on that one, which he is the title of the stream. Nacho scores again. So yeah, could be better, could be worse as well. We had a few bad scores in there, but we also had a few good scores. And the game week of what could have potentially been was definitely on the cards. So yeah, can't really complain too much about this week. I know there's going to be some horror stories. I know there's going to be some excellent scores. So we'll take what we can get at the moment. And at the moment, it's a green arrow. So I'm not really going to complain too much. So yeah, this season hasn't been, the greatest. I'll probably talk about, more detail in my review. Obviously doing a lot better last season. I think it was 33k overall. This season, if I can get into the top 100k, I'll be happy at our current position. But that's going to probably stem down to how good the free hit does, because that's the only chip I have left. So yeah. Also make sure to give us a follow on all of the socials and that sort of stuff, and as we will always do from now until they leave, Glazers out. So make sure to spam that on Twitter if you're a Arsenal fan. Cronky out if you're I believe, is it Chelsea? Is Enoch is their company, or is that Spurs? It's one of them. And then FSG out for Liverpool as well. So yeah, make sure to, as a daily reminder. Also, there's a petition that I retweeted. If it gets 100k, like people who signed it, which basically all you have to do to sign it is, basically you put in your email if you're a British citizen, which basically just means you have a passport from the UK or one of the UK territories, and you are able to. You just put in your email, and then they send you an email, and then you click the link, and then you signed it. And then basically it gets 100k people that have signed for this petition. Basically the government of the UK has to kind of look at it. And basically it's about the 50+1 rule. If you don't know what that is, go on Tifo Football's YouTube channel and just type in 50+1 rule. And you'll see what that's all about. Basically fan ownership, which is what we want. We don't want to lose our beautiful game to these greedy owners. But yeah, back into FPL. So without further ado, let's get into it. Right, so a little bit of a mark on the screen here, but yeah, not too bad. Made the one transfer this week. Didn't go crazy like last week. Just made the one transfer, figuring Kane was potentially injured. Looked like he was potentially injured for the final, although he didn't look like he was really going to get the ball too much. He looked okay in terms of when he did get the ball. Spurs just didn't look good. That looked like a Mourinho team without Mourinho able to lead them out there. And I'm not sure Ryan Mason, he's not very old. He's only 29. And I think that, is he going to be able to change the way the team's been playing after being drilled by Mourinho over and over and over again by the end of the season? Probably not. So Spurs are kind of putting me off a little bit. Kane is good, and that's the only real thing I'm thinking about right now. Like, I'm not even considering like not having Son as well. There's a bunch of different reasons as to, that show based on their play, and if they don't get this like Mourinho-ism, as it were, like this kind of negative side of tactics out of their system, then they're probably going to keep underperforming. So yeah, that's kind of, should I bring Kane back in? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, Vardy could have had a goal and assist easy. Maybe 2 goals and an assist, no problem. But again, failure to disappoint as well. But Moving into the team. So Martinez in goal was the only goalkeeper I could play. Got 2 points from him. Didn't expect much. He ended up getting a save point. Not the end of the world there. Azpilicueta getting himself a clean sheet. Pretty good. Luke Shaw, clean sheet and 2 bonus points in what was a very drab United versus Leicester game. There's no real quality in that one. Cody getting 0 points, which is fair enough because Masuaku on my bench was the only other player that I could have played, and he got 0 points too, so can't really complain. Cody did concede 4 though. Masuaku didn't play, so I guess it ends up being the same thing. Not really the end of the world. Jesse Lingard, shock horror, didn't score. You know, he's not going to get the big totals, I guess, if he's in my team now. Who would have thunking? Jota getting taken off, I believe it was 58 minutes. 57 minutes, so not ideal there. He could potentially be on the chopping block going forward. Mo Salah getting himself a goal. I was torn between him, Fernandes, Vardy, and Iheanacho for the captaincy. I went with basically the third best option. Had I gone Vardy, I would have been super disappointed because of what he did. For Fernandes, you know, he had a chance that he could have, if he would have put it on target, he probably would have scored. But it was still not a great chance, but it was still a decent enough chance. And the whole United Leeds game just lacked quality overall. Just not ideal. And United may have one eye on the Europa League as well. But, you know, they have two fixtures against Roma. If they win those 2, they'll definitely want to win those 2 because they've lost 4 semi-finals in a row with Oli. And they'll want to definitely get into the final, which could be against either Arsenal or Villarreal. And if it is against Arsenal, it's probably going to be a very, very tense one, because that's not one for bragging rights purposes you want to lose. Also, it would mean denying Arsenal yet another Champions League berth from another English club in a Europa League final, as Chelsea did it back a few years ago with Maurizio Sarri. But the goods, Fernandes was getting 3 points isn't, you know, terrible. It was better than Vardy, but would have liked it to be on like Salah or Iheanacho. And then Iheanacho, 12 points, goal and assist. His goal was fantastic. Could have probably had 3 or 4 assists. Had, you know, Iosi Perez and you know, Jamie Vardy more specifically would have just put the ball in the net. Could have had a lot more points. But 50 points, not going to complain too much. It was a green arrow. I believe it was around a 60 to 70k green arrow, which is a smaller green arrow at this rank. It's probably be like if I was in the top 100k, it would take me to 90k. You know, it's like a smaller increase, but you know, nonetheless, we'll take it. Or probably like 95k. But we'll take the green arrows as they come. I really thought Fernandes was going to get something. Didn't end up happening. And yeah, all the players could have scored. It's just Iheanacho scored a goal and assist. Salah scored. Vardy didn't. Fernandes didn't. But I would say probably out of all of them, the one who was probably least likely to score in their games was Fernandes, which is interesting. Salah could have scored once and maybe had a couple of assists, definitely. But yeah, Fernandes only had that one attempt, and apart from that, wasn't that great. And then Vidra, again, he scored but was offside, and you know, wasn't very far offside. But Chris Wood taking all the plaudits there. 3 goals and an assist. If you have Chris Wood in your team, you probably had a great game week. If you didn't, you probably had, you know, average week like me. If you didn't have Iheanacho and Chris Wood, you probably had a bad game week personally. Unless your defense was awesome, like you had triple Chelsea defense or something like that. In which case you'd have been doing okay. So yeah, not really too much. It's just an okay week. My team obviously played itself. If Masuaku, I wasn't going to play him anyway, and he didn't play, so seems like he's going to be injured for a little bit longer, but he is a cheaper bench option, and yeah, we'll have to roll with that at the moment. So these were the scores. Not really too high scoring, only you know, a few goals in most of the games, but apart from that, it was 0-0s, 1-0s, or 1-1s basically, or 1-0s either side. So Everton versus Arsenal. Again, you know, the goal that was scored was just a mistake by Leno. And nothing really to show for it in that game either. Liverpool looked like they were going to score about 10. Newcastle could have scored a few on the break as well. Newcastle did score. You know, they had a goal ruled out, which by the letter of the law is not a goal because it does hit his hand and then he scores. But I think if your hand's tucked into your body, which Wilson's was, it's a bit tricky. Shock of the week was probably Sheffield United beating Brighton. Brighton's still not out of the woods yet. United Leeds couldn't have been more boring after Ole hyped it up, saying, oh yeah, it's definitely not going to be a no-no. Ends up being a no-no. Aston Villa, West Brom letting themselves down again, and I think that's probably the nail in the coffin for them. And Leicester having to come back today as well. So, we will take a look at our predictions. So these were our predictions, as well as we did the Carabao Cup final. If you don't know how these work or score, if you want to, compete them against me as well, and you're watching me over on YouTube, you want to do it for me through the whole season, I do these predictions every week and post them over on Twitter. Basically, I predict a score for each team. If I get it exactly right, so the score is... So I predict, Arsenal and Everton been 2-2 as I predicted on the tweet, I would get 3 points. If I predict the correct result, so I predicted a draw and it ended up being a draw of some scoreline, I would get 1 point. And if I get it wrong otherwise, I get 0 points. So Everton ended up winning 1-0. I thought it was going to be 2-2, so no points there. Liverpool, Newcastle ended up being a draw as well. I predicted 3-1. So nothing there. Chelsea, I predicted 2-1 over West Ham. Ended up being a lot more lower scoring than I thought. Chelsea holding out 1-0, so I got 1 point for that. Brighton winning 2-0 over Sheffield United. Not to be Sheffield United getting a win for themselves. I think that's only like their 3rd win all season. So no points there as well. 1-0 to Wolves versus Burnley. I couldn't have been more wrong about that one. So yeah, that was quite bad. Nothing there. United Leeds again. Not great either. I think I've got all these wrong pretty much. This is going to be one of my worst weeks ever. Aston Villa, West Brom, thought it was going to be 2-1, ended up being 2-2. So not much there. Leicester 3-0 over Crystal Palace, ended up being 2-1, so I got 1 point there. So that's probably my lowest score I think I've ever gotten. Mind you, there was less games to go off of. So, and then with the Carabao Cup final, I think Spurs would win on penalties, but not to be there either. So I think that's my lowest score. Mind you, there is 2 less fixtures in it, but the most I could have got was 8, which would have been like about an average score, and I would have only got 4 out of the 10 right. So yeah, not great. We're going to want to change that the next time we go to do our predictions. But it shows in sometimes in the predictions, if I think that there's, certain fixtures are going to go certain ways. Like I had a lot of goals, like Man United Leeds could have potentially had 3 goals. The Leicester game, had 3 goals in it. Brighton I thought would probably have, 2. I thought Chelsea and West Ham would be a little bit more open. Same with Liverpool, Newcastle. Same with Arsenal, Everton. And it just wasn't meant to happen, which is why the average across the whole game this week was a lot lower. Spurs not playing, Man City not playing. A lot of the points can come from those guys as well. So that's why the average was a lot lower. And the differentials wasn't great either, so I went for a double up on Brighton with the clean sheet and, so I didn't get that. And Sanchez, so not much doing there. Castagna got a goal, which is quite nice. Didn't keep the clean sheet, but I think he got a goal and a bonus point, which was good. Mane did not get anything either, although he should have scored at least a goal and probably got an assist as well. And then Wilson technically did score, but it was ruled out, so unfortunately I don't get the applause for that one. So again, 1 out of 5, not great for the prediction side of things. But you can see that when these sorts of game weeks happen and you see the scores, you think, oh yeah, Everton and Arsenal's going to be quite open. Both defenses are bad, so on and so forth. Liverpool and Newcastle's been more open. Liverpool likes to be open. This is going to be a high-scoring game. Chelsea and West Ham are quite good. It should be a close contest, but still should be some goals in it. Wolves, Burnley, that should be a boring 0-0. Leeds United, that should be open like it was last time. These sorts of things, and none of those come to fruition. Typically, that's going to mean in a pretty bad game week in terms of FPL average points-wise. So yeah, and it could be the same thing this week as well. Looking at some of the fixtures, although Spurs and City might have something to say about it as well. But nonetheless, I thought some of the games were entertaining. I mean, Burnley Wolves is probably the highlight of the week, to be honest. Them getting 4 goals out of absolutely nowhere. And actually, a fun fact: there's only been 6 strikers or 6 attackers in the Premier League that have scored 10 plus Premier League goals over the last 4 seasons, including this one. Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, Mo Salah, Jamie Vardy, Lacazette, and lastly, Chris Wood, of all people, which is quite interesting. So yeah, thought that was a bit of a fun fact. Yeah, hopefully this next game week is a bit more of a goal fest for the attackers, because I think I didn't have very many actual goals in my team. I had Salah, who scored, Nacho, who scored, and then everyone else got nothing in terms of actual goals. Everyone else was just clean sheet / bonus points, or like Nacho's assist. Moving on to the predictions for this week. We have, first up, out the gate, it is another Friday deadline. It's also interesting because it goes into the month of May. The first game is in April, and then the second and third and fourth sets of games are on May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And this is important because they should be announcing the times and the fixture changes, if they're going to change some stuff, for allowing fans back into the ground. So we'll just kind of fast forward ahead. So this is the tentative fixtures for Game Week 35. Here's the tentative fixtures for Game Week 36. 37 hasn't been announced yet, and neither has 38. But there's a chance that these games here could be pushed forward into this game week, or vice versa, and cause blanks for some teams. But I don't think we'll know it until later on this week. They may do it sooner, they may do it later, they might do it after this deadline, which would cause a lot of problems for people trying to make transfers to prepare for that. So let's say hypothetically you take a 50-50 and you say, I'm going to transfer somebody in hopes that Game Week 35 is a double and Game Week 35 is the blank, and they put them all into 36. Then you might be like, oh, well, maybe I don't want that player because now I've just taken a player out who plays, and I've brought in a player that has a double but has a blank in the 35, so I'm one player down and already made a transfer. So hopefully they give us that news beforehand. That would be nice. Otherwise, we're going to be in a bit of a sticky situation. We'll get on to my team in a bit. I still have the free hit left, so I can be a bit flexible. If I find that my team's a little bit better set up for the blank versus the double, then I can use it accordingly. But more on that in a bit when we go to take a look at my team for next week and how it shapes up. So Southampton versus Leicester. This is kind of the big one where a lot of people are thinking, okay, this is a fixture where Vardy can do well away from home. Southampton, conceded 9 to Leicester a couple of seasons ago. The last time that they played each other this season, when did they play Southampton? They won 2-0, so it was quite comfortable for Leicester. But Southampton have gotten worse since then, and Leicester have probably maintained their level, maybe slightly better, but probably overall have maintained a good standard. I think they could replicate that as well. I probably don't see Leicester conceding. Probably not. But mind you, they have the least amount of rest in terms of they played last and then they play first in that sense. I think they have the least amount of rest overall, and that's, I think, because of the fact that they have the FA Cup soon-ish coming up. Do I think Southampton could score? Probably, but I think Leicester will be able to beat them. I think Southampton are quite open. I'm going to go with a higher scoring one for Leicester. I think 3-1. Man City, they're playing Crystal Palace. They can field their B team. Doesn't really matter too much, and they should probably beat them quite comfortably. I don't think City will concede, even though John Stones, I don't think, can play in this game either, and is going to be safe for the Champions League anyway. I think City just win this game comfortably. I think 2-0. So if you have a City defender like Diaz or Laporte or somebody like that, or Ederson, I think you're fine for a clean sheet this week personally. Brighton versus Leeds. I think Leeds have been looking better defensively. Brighton have struggled to score, so I don't think Brighton will score, and I think Leeds could potentially, nick this one or win it comfortably. I'm actually going to go for a Leeds clean sheet. I'm going to say Leeds win this one 2-0. If you have Rafinha, if you have Bamford, now they have great fixtures until the end of the season pretty much. They got Brighton. Then they play Spurs, which is, stylistically good for Leeds. Also, it's at home, which favors them a little bit more. Then they also have Burnley, who should be quite comfortable for Leeds to pass around. Southampton, who have been quite open, and Leeds are quite, again, another good matchup. And then West Brom, who could already be down at that point, and Leeds could just be playing for style points in that one. Maybe they're going for a conference place. Who knows? I'm not sure how close they are in the Premier League table. Let's actually take a look at that. EPL table. Because that's kind of important. Teams have to be playing for something if they want to play quite well. So basically 7th place gets you Europa Conference. 1 through 4 gets you Champions League. 5 through 6 gets you the Europa League. So since City won the Carabao Cup, 7th place will get you the Europa Conference or whatever the new tournament is. I think that's how it works. I could be wrong, but I think 1 through 7 is European spots. So if that's the case, Everton still have a game in hand. So if they win that game in hand, they'd be on 55 points, which would put them 8 points ahead of Leeds. It is going to be a bit tricky. I think Leeds can still finish top half of the table. They're already 1 point ahead of Arsenal, same number of games. And they're 2 points ahead of Aston Villa with 1 game extra played. So they could potentially be getting something quite good there. Chelsea versus Fulham. I think Chelsea are going to be looking mainly at the Champions League. Now, what does this mean potentially for Chelsea defensively? I think they're still going to maintain their shape. I still think they're going to play pretty much similar players. Is there potential risk for rotation for Thomas Tuchel's side? I think yes, because they're also in the FA Cup final as well. So Chelsea have the most potential number of games left. They have 2 games against Real Madrid. They have their 5 games, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. 5 games left in the Premier League. They have the FA Cup final, and they have a potential Champions League final as well. Do I think this stops them from beating Fulham? No, I don't. And I think that they're going to win the game comfortably. I'm going to go with a 2-0 as well in this one. I think it's just a Chelsea scoreline. 1-0, 2-0. I think they keep a clean sheet. Fulham, again, just been letting themselves down. They've kind of shot themselves in the foot. They got themselves so close to Newcastle and then just started dropping results when Newcastle was starting to get some points again. And I think the bottom 3 is pretty much going to stay where it is right now. Sheffield United's already down. Fulham soon to follow, and West Brom as well. I think it's just kind of written in stone at the moment. I hope that Fulham still keeps Scott Parker though, because I think he is a good enough manager to get them back in the Premier League. Everton versus Aston Villa. This is an interesting one to call. Everton at home hasn't been great. Jack Grealish is still out. Villa seem to struggle against scoring at all. But Everton have been bad at home. So for something like this, I can't really call it. I think both defenses have been culpable of mistakes. I'm going to go with a 1-1 on this one, just because I don't know where the large amount of goals are going to come from. But I think both teams are probably going to make a mistake, and it could cost them points. It could also be 2-1 either way, but I'm going to go 1-1 because I'm not really sure what's going to happen. Newcastle versus Arsenal is the first fixture on the Sunday, so don't have to get up early for that one, for my time at least. I think Newcastle could potentially, cause some upsets here. I think they could, give Arsenal a little bit of a go, especially if Callum Wilson starts from the beginning. Him and St. Maximin are Newcastle's two best players by far, and they both could be on the pitch starting in this game. Arsenal are going to be all in the Europa League basket if there's any chance, that they have even if they have a good chance or a chance to get to the final based on their first leg. They're not going to play anyone in this game that is of any importance that could be, useful for the second leg. So like Bukayo Saka could get rested in this one. I think Odegaard, if he's still not feeling it, he could get rested still because he came off an injury. It'll also probably give Aubameyang more time to rest up and get his illness that he's been having. I think it was malaria that he came down with and was hospitalized for, but I think he's resting at home now. Lacazette also had a hamstring injury, so maybe that gives him a little bit more time to nurse it as well. And I just don't think that Arsenal have any chance to kind of make headway into the European spots. I mean, if you look, if Everton win that game in hand, they're on 55 points. Arsenal will be 9 points back of Everton in 8th, or in 7th rather. So again, it is quite tough for them. I think it's literally Europa League or bust, basically. And it's going to be quite tough because they have to beat a good Villarreal side, and they're down with their players. And then they have to beat either Manchester United or Roma, who are going to be two tougher oppositions and probably are better teams than Arsenal anyway. So I think if Arsenal go or get a decent enough advantage, or even if they need to claw it back, they're going to put everything on that following Thursday, which is why I think they could potentially drop points here. I'm going to go with Newcastle nicking a point and getting the draw here. Man United versus Liverpool. Liverpool have nothing else to play for but top 4, so they're going to be all guns blazing. There's also potentially, there's people are organizing protests for both sides, from what I've been hearing, against their owners, and I think it's only right that they do so because of what the owners tried to do, and the apologies that they had were all basically empty from every owner, and they're all lying through their back teeth, and we all know it because they're in it to make money. That being said, Old Trafford, it's gonna have a lot of people outside. Maybe the players, they'll probably see that, and it won't affect them too much, but at least they'll kind of see the kind of what fans' impact did in the Carabao Cup final, and maybe that kind of gets them a little bit of a boost, saying, hey, look, fans are outside the ground, they're protesting for what's right, they're showing the passion. Maybe, that's something they can kind of look forward to, because they only know that in a few weeks' time, they're going to have a home game, and there's going to be some fans there for their side. So I think it could be quite interesting. I think this one isn't going to be boring, though. I think both teams have shown defensive frailties at times. United tends to be a little bit more boring, but at home, I think they have to be a little bit more aggressive here. Liverpool, again, trying to get top 4, but have been struggling to score. And United statistically have been good defensively, but, having watched them more than any other team as intently, I think that there are still some frailties there. But those frailties come from set pieces, and set pieces being crosses into headed attempts on goal. That is something I don't think Liverpool do too well without the likes of Van Dijk being a presence in there, or the likes of Matip or somebody like that. So I think it's probably an advantage for United, and if United are going to get something and potentially, think, hey, look, we can knock Liverpool all chances of getting top 4, that would be great for them. And also, if United get 3 points in this game, they prolong City from winning the league for another week, and they secure themselves top 4 with 3 points. If they were to beat Liverpool, Liverpool would be stuck on 54. It would give Spurs a chance to beat Sheffield United, going 2 points ahead of Liverpool, getting a Europa League spot. It would make West Ham allow them to potentially extend their gap by 4 points. And it would make Leicester's job a little bit easier come the end of the season as well, because they're up against Southampton, which they should beat as well. So, yeah, I think Liverpool has a lot riding on this game, and I think United would be quite keen on stopping it, especially if United get decent advantage versus Roma in the first leg. I think they can go. They're going to go strong in all 3 games, regardless. You'll probably see Rashford play in all 3 games, even though he probably shouldn't. You'll probably see Cavani play in all 3 games, even though he probably shouldn't, because of his, injuries in the past. Same with Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool's going to play their best 11 because it's the only game they have in the week. But you'll see United probably play the same back 4. Henderson will play in this game, whereas De Gea will probably play in the cup games. That being said, I'm going to go with United winning it 2-1. I just think Liverpool they'll probably get 1, and it could be due to a set piece, just a great delivery by Alexander-Arnold or something like that, or even Robertson. But I think United on the counter probably catch Liverpool out. If Fabinho's playing at center back, it probably creates a bit of an issue there. Phillips isn't back, and I think that United can definitely catch him out. And even if Kabak and Phillips is center back, I think Rashford, if he's on form, or anyone with any decent pace, can just blast past them. So yeah, and Pogba's just going to be a different dynamic, assuming he starts as well. Spurs versus Sheffield United, I think they should win this game. I'm going to go with a 2-0, just a comfortable 2-0. Even if Mourinho's in charge here, I expect them to win 2-0 as well. So not really much said on that. Can't really kind of pick out anything there. What is Ryan Mason's tactics, as it were? He's 29. He's he's not. We're not trying to break down a Pep Guardiola side that's going into a Champions League semi-final or anything like that. Or a Klopp team that's going into a European Cup final or something. West Brom versus Wolves. I think West Brom could potentially get something from this game. Wolves look very vulnerable. Didn't know how to deal with long balls, which West Brom are definitely going to be able to, do. They didn't know how to deal with set pieces either, which West Brom are definitely going to be able to do. But I think it might be too little too late. I'm actually going to edge West Brom to win this one. I think they're going to win 2-1. Even having a Wolves defender myself, I still think they're going to concede. I just think West Brom will probably get something. They've been looking very good offensively, and Wolves, again, against set piece long ball teams, they just haven't really got it right. And that showed against Burnley. And you can bet Sam Allardyce is going to be looking at that game saying, we could do that to them, boys. So I would expect West Brom to get something from this game, even at least a point. Burnley versus West Ham. I think West Ham are going to be a bit more astute than that. I can see them picking up 3 points here. I expect West Ham to keep a clean sheet. They're a lot more solid defensively on both sides of the set pieces. Even without the likes of Craig Dawson, I think Diop and Ogbonna very solid at the back in terms of defensive aerial threats. And yeah, I expect them to keep a clean sheet. Probably Jesse Lingard to get back on the score sheet as well. Because Burnley, they tend to, press in a disorganized way at times. And when they do that, they look very exposed. And Nick Pope basically has to save their tails most of the time if that happens. But I think Lingard and Bowen are just way too quick. And if you give them space, they'll definitely cause problems. Clean sheet this week, I've gone for Spurs. Again, Sheffield United just makes sense. In goal, I've actually gone with Dubravka. Now, I have tipped a 1-1 versus Arsenal, but I think that I think Newcastle could potentially even keep a clean sheet here. Arsenal, again, have been very lackluster in terms of being, in front of goal. They didn't score versus Everton. They scored at the very last minute versus Fulham. All their eggs are going to be in one basket for the Europa League. I think that Newcastle could potentially get something here and maybe keep a clean sheet. And Dubravka might have one of those days where he just turns into prime Gordon Banks and just gets save after save after save. And he's 0.3% owned. So if you're looking for something, a cheeky little differential, maybe go for Dubravka. In terms of the fixtures for Newcastle, I don't think they're great. So long-term, I think it's not ideal. But that Dubravka's probably going to get some save points. Arsenal are probably going to have some, crazy shots. Leicester definitely going to have some shots on goal. Then Newcastle play Man City. Definitely going to have some shots on goal. And Sheffield United could be a clean sheet there. And then they play Fulham on the last day. So in terms of save points, he should get a decent number. But it is a differential pick. Moving into defense, I've gone with Serge Aurier. I liked some of the bits that I saw in the Carabao Cup. I think that Ryan Mason's going to pick him and Aurier, Aurier is him. Aurier and the likes of Reguilon, because they're the best fullbacks, and Aurier is quite good at bombing forward, getting crosses into the box. He also benefits from Kane being in the team or somebody having like as a target. And I think that he provides that kind of balance, as it were. So you have Aurier one side, Reggio on the other side, Kane could be central, Son and the other right-sided attacker can tuck in, if that's Bale, if that's Moura, whoever that is. And it just creates that kind of base of 5 up top. With like the holders of like Højbjerg or Sissoko or Ndombele, whoever that may be, playing a little bit more of a flat role behind them and letting those 5 kind of do what they do best, which is create chances and score goals. In midfield, I've kind of cheated a little bit. 8.5% isn't necessarily differential being more 5% or less. But the reason I've gone with Zaha is because he's almost certainly going to have a double game week coming up if the fixtures go through to where they get moved up to where his fans can come back into the ground and that sort of stuff. He'll have a double. One of those 3 games will be against Sheffield United. This week is a tougher fixture, so I think he's more of a differential, but he did score, and he is versus a potentially rotated Man City team. They are at home, and, you know, he just came, like I said, he just came off scoring versus Leicester as well. I think it could be good, and if we do get the, you know, the announcement that, hey, look, Crystal Palace, I think it's Crystal Palace, Leicester, Southampton, no, Crystal Palace, Everton, Aston Villa, and Southampton, I think, are the ones that have doubles and won't blank. Whereas I think Leicester, Chelsea, Arsenal, and one other team will have doubles potentially, but will blank afterwards or before, whichever way it goes. But Zaha is one of them that will have a double and then not blank. So his double would be he plays Sheffield United, Aston Villa, and Arsenal. All 3 teams which I think he could do well against. So I think he could be a good pick there. And like I said, just coming off scoring goal. Only 7.1 million. He's only 0.2 higher than Jota. You know he's going to start. He gets 3 games. Over the next 4 games or 4 matches, you know, if you had to compare the game week. So Zaha gets Man City, Jota gets Man United. What are you going to expect there? You know Zaha's going to start. Jota might not necessarily start that game. Then in 35, you know, you have Southampton, but then Zaha has the double. So that's always going to trump it, especially when one of those is Sheffield United. And it's away, which benefits Crystal Palace even more. And then, you know, Liverpool has West Brom in 36. Does Jota start? We don't know. He could be rotated. But Crystal Palace is also versus a weakened Aston. It would be versus Arsenal. So again, swings and roundabouts, but he gets 1 extra fixture and he's only 0.2 more. So I think it could be a good pick overall. Again, Man City probably wouldn't expect too much this week, but you're not expecting much from Jota this week. And if you get that transfer in early, then it could be quite good. It just depends on where does that double fall. Does it fall before or after? If it falls before or after with Zaha, who's supposedly going to have a double and then he's going to have a single game week afterwards, it doesn't really matter too much. And then lastly, I've gone with Abraham because for some reason I just feel that in this game against Fulham, especially because they're going to be playing Real Madrid on either side, I just feel that the fringe players are going to play in it. Whether it be a Giroud or an Abraham or something, and I feel like it's going to be Abraham. Came on as a sub in the last game. He did kind of miss, not really a sitter, the ball was kind of behind him, but I think he's still their top goal scorer with 12 goals, I think, across all competitions, which is unheard of for somebody that just hasn't played much on the Tuchel at all. And he could be, you know, put in the shop window, as it were. I could see him fitting in quite well at West Ham. They create kind of that kind of use that forward in such a way whereas he can kind of hold up the play, kind of link in the channels, and Abraham can do that. Is quite quick in his own right, a good arrow threat, much like Antonio. Antonio's getting up in age. I think he's 31 or he's getting 31 or 32, and his hamstrings break down multiple times a season. So I think Abraham, young striker, could be quite good as well. Also, the English connection with the likes of Jesse Lingard as well. Would have known him in the England setup as well. So, yeah, and I think it's going to be unfortunate because I don't think Abraham's going to make the England squad either because of his lack of playing time. Whereas, a season ago, you would have said he would have definitely been one of the first names on the actual squad list. So a bit tricky on that one as well. So yeah, that's the picks and differentials. We will usually post those over on Twitter as we normally do. And yeah, let me know your differentials in the comments, or you can reply to the tweet as well. Game of the week that I'm probably looking forward to, Man United Liverpool, obviously. In terms of FPL points, though, the one I'm most intrigued of seeing is actually the Leeds Brighton game. I'm interested to see how Leeds fare in that, because Brighton defensively have been good. Leeds have been good defensively as well. Could it be a 0-0? Maybe Leeds defense is something that we look to. Who knows? A lot of people jumping on Meslier now as a goalkeeping option with Chelsea's fixtures turning after this week. United's fixtures aren't great until the last two, but could be rotation there somewhat, even though Ole doesn't really rotate. And it's a cheap goalkeeping option. So this is the team as it stands at the moment. In terms of the lineup, I would say it pretty much picks itself, but there are some players in there that you can say, oh, well, you probably should play them just regardless, or that sort of stuff. But there are also some problematic players in there as well. In goal, I think it's pretty much a no contest. Martinez has Everton away, so he's at Goodison Park. We'll favor him because Everton haven't been that great at home. Funnily enough, I don't think that Martinez and Aston Villa have played Everton. Yeah, they haven't played Everton all season. Literally, it's game week 34, and they're going to be playing Everton for the first time because they still have this game that needs to be made up. So there's a chance they could play Everton, then play Man United, then play Everton again, which would be weird, but funny at the same time. Then you have the other goalkeeper is Ariel, who's Chelsea away. Don't really expect much there. I expect him to concede if he gets some save points. Probably not likely, but Martinez probably has a better shot at a clean sheet. In defense, the options we have is Aina versus Chelsea as well. Probably not going to play him. Luke Shaw versus Liverpool at home. Now, the last time United and Liverpool played, it was a 0-0, I believe. Just going to double check. I believe it was 0-0. And Luke Shaw ended up with 8 points. So maybe I reconsider playing him there. But yeah, I think Liverpool could potentially score. Am I tempted to play Luke Shaw over the likes of Jota or Salah or something like that? Probably not. But I think Masuaku versus Burnley, I think if he plays, he can get an attacking return easily. And they can also keep a clean sheet. Same for Azpilicueta at Fulham. But Azpilicueta could also be rested. That's another thing as well, which is why we have Shaw ahead of Aina. And then Cody, I don't feel comfortable playing Cody, but it is West Brom, and you would think, well, they probably should keep a clean sheet. The last time Wolves played West Brom, it was actually a pretty big goal fest, and West Brom actually ended up winning it. Maybe Wolves can sort it out. I kind of am tempted to play Shaw, but it depends on Masuaku's fitness. Obviously, if he's not fit, then I'm playing Shaw anyway. But I'd rather play, it's like, would you play Masuaku versus Burnley away if he's fit and is starting versus Shaw versus Liverpool at home? Probably Masuaku, I would think. Just because it's easier fixture, more likely of a clean sheet, and would be rested-ish, as it were. In midfield, we're playing all 5 of our midfielders. No real qualms there. And then up front, we have Nacho, the man in form, the man on the thumbnail, and then Jamie Vardy. Now, this captaincy could change as well. And maybe I do put it on Nacho for the time being and just keep it like that. We could also potentially bring Kane in as well. So this is why the getting back to the fixtures coming out before the likes of this deadline, which is Friday, is going to be quite crucial, because I still have my free hit. If we find out that the fixtures are going to be a double in 35, I can target, let's say, double game week players for 35 and then free hit for the blank, or free hit for the double and then get players in for the blank. It depends. So if we're looking at players that are most likely going to blank, I'm just gonna move some stuff on the notepad here so we can see. So the double game week teams are with no blank. Crystal Palace, Southampton, Aston Villa, and I'm missing one team. One other team that I'm missing. Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, Southampton. Oh, and Everton was the other one. Right. Everton was the other one. Because Crystal Palace will play Southampton, I think. And Aston Villa play Everton. Do I have any Southampton players? Ings. Yeah. So Crystal Palace is the game in hand that they still have yet to play. So Crystal Palace and Southampton will play each other, whereas Aston Villa and Everton will play each other. So these are the teams that will have a double game week. And not blank. And then I believe the teams that have a double game week and blank are Leicester, Chelsea, Arsenal, and somebody, I believe. Man United, maybe? Let me just double check. If you haven't followed Ben Krellin on Twitter, that's BenCrellin. He has basically spreadsheets which show kind of his perception on what could potentially happen for these sorts of things. So what does he have? He has potentially Chelsea doubling. Oh yeah, and Man United is the other one. So these would be, I think, the teams. Yeah, so Leicester. Yeah, Leicester would double. United would double. I'm looking at the wrong thing, but I think I kind of guessed it. Every team apart from Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, Everton, Southampton, Man United, Leicester, Chelsea, Arsenal, blanks in 36. And every this is something completely different. He says the most likely outcome is this. Let me see if I can bring this across here. So if it's doubles in 35 and blanks in 36, this is what it will look like. So let me move this across here. So yeah, you'll see that basically where the red is where there'll be a blank or likely blank, and where this I guess orange or whatever color it is, this is where the doubles will be. So basically United, Leicester, Chelsea, Arsenal, the ones that we said will be doubling, as well as Southampton, Everton, Crystal Palace, and Aston Villa. But Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United, and Leicester would all blank. Now that's a lot of big teams. So if we're looking at players, if I bring this across just to and make it a little bit smaller, and then move it up so we can still see. So the players that I would have, that would be, I'll just keep it there so we can still see Martinez and Areola. So players that I would have that would double and wouldn't blank. So this is double and no blank. I would have Martinez. So we'd have Martinez. Double and no blank. We would have also... that'd be it, because I have no Crystal Palace players, no Southampton players, no other Villa players, and no Everton players. So it's just Martinez. And then if for a double and blank, the players I would have is Aspie, Shaw, Fernandez, Vardy, and Nacho. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 players. So from now until the you know, when these fixtures are scheduled to happen in 35, I only have 2 transfers. So if I take 2 of these players out, let's say it's Azpilicueta and Fernandez, I would have to bench Iheanacho, I'd have to bench Vardy, I'd have to bench Shaw, and I'd have to play everyone else, basically. Am I comfortable playing the likes of Aina, Masuaku's potentially injured, Vidra, these sorts of players? Probably not. So maybe that's when I have to, you know, when I have to free hit. So if we look at the 30, it would be 35. It would be 36 when they blank, basically. So Chelsea and Arsenal in 36. That fixture gets moved up, so they don't play. United and Leicester also play each other, so that fixture gets moved up, and they don't play. So the players that I would play in place of them would be players on Fulham. So it'd be Aina would come in again for Southampton away. That's not terrible, actually. If I look at Burnley play Leeds. Vidra against Leeds could be quite good. Not too bad. And if I had to play... So what would my formation be? So if I got rid of, let's say, Azpilicueta for somebody and Fernandez for somebody, I'd be playing my 5 midfielders. I'd be playing 4 defenders, and I'd be playing 1 up front. So Masuaku, West Ham at Brighton, so that's not bad either. Spurs play Wolves, so that's not ideal. So that could be quite bad, actually. And like I said, Burnley versus Leeds. So all in all, not terrible. So if maybe, you know, if I took a hit in there, let's say, so if my next 3, let's say my next 3 transfers, you know, let's say the double was in 35 and I wanted to free hit in 36, then maybe I keep Fernandez as an example, because Fernandez in 37 and 38 has Fulham and Wolves, which is quite good. Maybe I get rid of the players whose fixtures, you know, in 35 are bad and in 37 and 38 are bad. And I only technically need to get rid of 2, but probably 3 to be comfortable. So Azpilicueta would be 1, because his fixtures are not great. In 35, Aina's fixture is Burnley at home, so that's not terrible. These are players that are looking to potentially be getting rid of. Again, Shaw, you know, 35 he has Aston Villa, and obviously he would double. So again, these players again would be once doubling as well, which is kind of a problem. It's just Azpilicueta's double could be bad. It could be, you know, City and Arsenal or something, which isn't great. Yes, it's a double, but not really ideal. If Chelsea's in the Champions League final or something, you know, maybe they're still going for the lead, but maybe Azpilicueta doesn't get, you know, played as much. So it is still a bit tricky, and I still want to keep Leicester because Leicester's fixtures. You know, am I getting rid of a Leicester player against Southampton? Have Southampton away? No. Am I going to get rid of a Leicester player for the double? No. And I can also make a transfer on the other side of it too. So this would be a blank for Leicester. Maybe I get rid of, you know, Jamie Vardy, and then I bring back in Kane, who has Wolves at home. That could be an option. So if hypothetically, let's say the doubles were in 35 and the blanks were in 36. So in 36, Leicester, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United don't play, basically. What will my strategy be? Well, I would keep Azpilicueta for this week. I can get rid of Fernandez or Jota this week, probably. and still feel good about that. If I was going to get rid of somebody, it would probably be Jota. I would bring in the likes of Zaha as an example, because I know he has a double, and overall is going to have an extra fixture. There's only 0.1 or 0.2 million, whatever it is, and his fixtures for the rest of the season are, okay. Sheffield United, Aston Villa, Southampton, even Liverpool on the last day of the season. Maybe they could nick something there. It'd be just like him to kind of prevent Liverpool from getting a top 4 spot or something like that. So that would be one transfer. Then in 35, Chelsea's fixtures are bad. They still have the double, though, so I'd be more inclined to potentially keeping him, as well as Fernandes. And then maybe, I use the free hit to kind of circumvent that. I think that'd probably be easy. So I bring in Zaha. He gets the double and plays afterwards. Then I would say, well, if I could bring in another defender who has a double, that could do well. Everton has a double and doesn't blank. Their double wouldn't be great, though. It would be West Ham and Sheffield United, I think. But they have Aston Villa as well, so it might not be terrible, actually, now that I look at it. Sheffield United and then Wolves. So, yeah, maybe an Everton defender could be good. So maybe we get rid of Aina. Do we have enough for the likes of Digne? No, just a bit too much there. Because he went down in price, but Digne was still 0.2 out of our reach anyway. So maybe for 35, Brighton, if we don't see much from Cody, maybe Cody goes. And then we get Digne. That'd be our 2 transfers. So in 35, we'd have Iheanacho, Vardy, Zaha, Fernandes, Digne, Shaw, Azpilicueta, Martinez, who all have doubles. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 double game week players. And then we'd still have Salah, who would be playing Southampton at home, which is fine. Son, who would be playing Leeds away, which is probably fine. Lingard would have Everton at home, which is, okay. Maybe we could take a hit for somebody and change something out. And switch something up there. But yeah, 3-5-2 would seem fine. We'd have a full house of defense in double game weeks. We'd have 1, 2 out of our 5 midfielders with doubles, and our 2 forwards would have a double as well. So would there be another midfielder I could potentially change out? I have 0.3 million, so I can go up. I can go down from Son as well. Is Son going to be good versus one Leeds? The teams that are doubling, that blank after the fact, Leicester, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United, there are players in there that could potentially be looking at. Maybe Rashford around a similar price point for Son, but not great. Maybe Greenwood, it's a possibility. If Arsenal's in the Europa League final, or if they're not, then maybe we can go for some of their players. Maddison potentially tempts me. But again, if I go into it with the Leicester triple up, again, I'm putting all my eggs in one basket. Yeah, they play Newcastle, but they also play United. And they play Southampton. So again, the triple up could be okay. I mean, if I were to do a hit, let's say, have Son for the Sheffield United at home fixture. If I don't see Spurs do much, this could be, let's say, Maddison, if he's, available at this price point. I would still have Cody. If I don't see much from Son, then maybe I just go, go for the likes of Zaha, because, after the fact, because Spurs have Wolves, which isn't, very good. And they could also be just kind of out of it. If they don't get any points from Leeds and Sheffield United, or they struggle, then I'd be less inclined. Because Son's been playing a lot wider. Kane's been getting the bulk of the goals. And if I was going to get Kane, I'd swap straight for Vardy if I was going to do that. Which is also still in the cards as well. So yeah, and then I could have I could have Digne here. Which would be quite good. And then I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 double gaming players, which would be pretty good. I think these are probably some of the best double gaming players as well. Fernandes would be a good double gaming player. Zaha looks to be a good double gaming player. Leicester's double gaming looks decent. Crystal Palace's looks pretty good, but again, apart from Zaha, what else are you going to get? And then in the blank, we could then free hit and bring in, so for 36, Chelsea and Arsenal won't play each other. Man United and Leicester won't play each other. We could free hit out our good players. So we wouldn't have Shaw. We wouldn't have Azpilicueta. Digne would play Sheffield United, so maybe we would keep him. Leicester wouldn't play, so we'd free hit out Vardy, out Nacho, out Madison. Maybe we free hit out Zaha. Because he plays Aston Villa, but maybe we keep him. We'll see. Free hit out Fernandes. Lingard plays Brighton, so we'd be inclined to keep him. Let's say we get rid of Anam. We'll get rid of Areola, just so we can have some, cheaper goalkeepers. Who does Fulham play? Fulham plays Southampton, so actually we'll keep Areola just because we know he's going to play. Let's go Mitchell, just because he's super cheap. And we're going to be going for some star defenders here. Liverpool play West Brom, so Alexander-Arnold probably makes the most sense on that front. Also, if we, again, City versus Newcastle could be a fixture to target as well. If City are in the final, you'd be getting close to that. So maybe the likes of Sterling plays in the league, maybe a punt there. Or somebody else like that. Maybe we go for the Salah Mane double up. So that'd be some, could bring in Mane, because again, they're gonna be fighting to score some goals. Versus Sheffield United, I can see Calvert-Lewin doing well, so he'd probably be in there. We need another solid defender, a midfielder, and a forward of some kind if we're gonna play a 3-5-2. If I knew like City's team, I would go for someone like a Riyad Mahrez, even like a mid-price midfielder like that. Wouldn't be too bad. Maybe even a punt on Danny Ings as a potential up front if he's fit. And then we have 5.9 to spend on a defender, which, there are some options if, City versus Newcastle. I know there's going to be a clean sheet there. Maybe I go for something simple. Laporte probably is just out of the price range unless I change something elsewhere. But maybe we take a punt on somebody like a Mendy or something like that. And then you play 3-5-2. Just have a little fun with that. If it was the other way around, I think it's a little bit trickier, because then I'd be if the the doubles were in 36 and the blanks were in 35, then I would be transferring in players who double after the fact, which again is innately risky because of the fact that you have to transfer them in. They can still get injured in training and that sort of stuff, but you have to basically wait a week. So in 35, if the blanks were then, that means Leicester doesn't play Newcastle. Chelsea wouldn't play City. Aston Villa wouldn't play United. And there's one more. Where's Arsenal? Arsenal wouldn't play West Brom. Those would all be moved. So then you'd be looking at Fulham, Burnley, which isn't great to pick from. West Ham, Everton, again not ideal. Be basically loading up on all Liverpool, Spurs, some Crystal Palace, which isn't as interesting, I don't think, if that's the way it would work. But yeah, some food for thought. We will see how it all pans out, and we'll see what the what the fixtures hold. Yeah, this is how the team stands as it is for 34. We've got Martinez and goal over the likes of Areola. We've got Masuaku, Aspilicueta, and Cody. If Masuaku doesn't play, then Shaw will come in for us. Lingard, Jota, Salah, Fernandez, and Son. We're potentially going to get rid of, maybe Jota's on the chopping block, maybe Fernandez on the chopping block. We'll see. Again, this all stems around the doubles and blanks and that sort of stuff. And then Nacho is our captain at the moment. If we had Kane, we'd probably captain him. I'll probably just put the vice captain on Son, just to be sure. As a different fixture. I know I didn't do it for the triple captain, but when a single game, it just makes sense. It doesn't make sense not to. So yeah, that's it for the team. Let's move over to the big screen. So yeah, if you want to join us for the live streams, like I said, make sure to follow us over here on Twitch. If you're watching this over on the YouTube, there's links in the description. We always put a post or a comment on each video, so make sure to check that out as well. And it will basically tell you when the next stream is. But yeah, our next stream will be the deadline stream. We'll be there 1 hour before the deadline. So if you want to come join us, make sure to come check us out. I believe it's 12:30 p.m. EST. It is. Same time as last time we had the deadline stream. There's also going to be videos coming out this week, so make sure to check those out as well. If you haven't followed us over on Twitter, that's where we post the content preview for the week. And if we get any double game week news, I'll make sure to do a video on that and kind of show my transfer plans around that instead of maybe one of the videos. But yeah, thanks for watching, and until the next one, take care.